Well, that's new.
Hi. Okay, got it. Yeah.
So, Raybob, thank you very much for taking time out of your day to join me on the show. And I understand you have been drinking distilled water for what, 3 decades now?
91, I started 93, pretty much full time,
Yeah.
but I started using it in 91, but not exclusively.
Why did you start?
So why did I start? Originally, I had quit drinking and I was making coffee and by the thermos and bringing it. I play music, and so I would bring a thermos of my own coffee, and because bar coffee was never any good, and I was uh, at a getting a coffee at a gourmet coffee shop and trying to make the best I could. And the lady suggested distilled water because it would bring all the flavor out of the beans.
Yeah.
And I started using it, and I noticed it did. And at the same time, I had a fish tank, and I kept losing fish every couple months, and I do chemical tests and everything to the water. And I tried using. I drained the tank and I filled it up with distilled water, and I it just made a world of difference. I didn't have to clean the tank anymore. There was like a nice algae that formed on the bottom. Um, it just made a total difference.
I bet they
And
appreciated it too.
yeah, yeah, I never lost a fish anymore. But they were dying all the time, but all of a sudden I had healthy fish and were real mellow.
Yeah.
Made
I
all
think
difference.
that's what people don't realize is just how poisoned the water supply is.
Well, yeah, my grandfather was 22 in when they started putting chlorine in the water in the United States, all public waters. Um, and ever since I can ever remember, since the 60s, they always had a bottle of spring water in their kitchen.
Mhm.
And my great grandmother also had the same spring water brought into her house.
Mhm.
And she was 99 when she passed away.
Wow.
Um, my grandparents later, um, they got a water still,
Mhm.
and in '84, and they used that until they died in '93.
Mhm.
Um, and then I inherited their water still because I was the only one in the family that seemed to be cared about the still water. So I got their still, and I still have it today.
Oh,
I've later bought a second unit, but that original unit, the heater element is out. And I need to replace it,
yeah.
but it's my backup parts unit for my newer model.
Yeah. It's funny. I have two spare machines just in case because I won't drink anything but now.
Oh, I make all my food, always. I know the last time I was sick, that was about when I was starting to with distilled water. I used to, when I get a cold, I would make orange juice from concentrate
Mhm.
with tap water because I didn't know better.
Mhm.
And I would drink a lot of it trying to get vitamin C, and I would end up throwing up.
Mhm.
And I made that with distilled water, and no more upset stomach ever, and began with all my food prep.
Mhm.
And by '93, I was pretty much all um, distilled water for everything, for
Mhm.
all foods, anything I make. Um,
Okay. And you did mention in your message to me that the only times you've been sick since are when you've been drinking water away from your own supply of distilled.
yeah, there was a New Year's Eve, um, '99, 2000, that year. Um, th- there, a lot of people were getting sick, and I was at this music job and had dinner, served there, with whatever water they make their soups and everything else with, or whatever. But that was the last time I really was sick. There was one other time when I was going through a divorce, and I was dropping off the kids at Exchange, and my ex said, "Here, you want some dinner?" And she had something cooked, and it looked good, and I ate it. The next day, I was sick.
Mm. But it's
And
an interesting thing, isn't it? Because the sorry for over talking you, your body only gets sick because of toxicity or deficiency. So when you've got toxins gone in and you've got such a pure system, the very first thing your body's going to do is push you back out, which is why you get sick. Your body was destroyed or trying to get rid of the toxins you'd inadvertently ingested.
yeah, what I'm learning now is fevers and nosing, running. Those are not. You don't want to suppress those, because that's your body um, healing itself from all of those toxins that we're getting.
And you
And
were exposed to them inadvertently. I just had about 3 weeks back now, I was detoxing for about 17 days, and it was pretty severe, some of it. But I just kept supporting it, drinking lots of distilled water, fasting, having raw juices, and sleeping as much as I could. I mean, it was bizarre, some of the symptoms, but I wrote it out for 17 days, and I feel very different now. I actually said to my partner, I feel like I'm in a different body. I'm trying to get used to it because it's my level of senses, everything is much better. So it was a really big clear out. And I was surprised because I'm very careful about what I put in, but the stuff in there from when I was younger, I guess, had to come out.
yeah, and I think the longer you stay with distilled water, the more do without the tap water, the stronger you become, and you can handle a nasty meal a little better. You still get upset stomach or whatever, but you'll get over it quicker.
Well, it's good as well because it makes you just aware of how much toxicity is out there. Whereas I think people's bodies are so full of junk, and their detoxification processes are so suppressed because they're under such load all the time that they're just piling junk in. I can't imagine what would happen if I tried like a McDonald's, which isn't food anyway. And I look
Oh,
at cars, but I would imagine I wouldn't do very well.
no, I'm not gonna try myself with that one. I haven't been there probably 10 years,
Mhm.
and that was like on the road emergency. And that's, if you're hungry, you can really hold off. You don't need to stop at McDonald's.
No,
You can wait until you can find something good.
well, I
It's,
haven't eaten anything since it's been 20, it's coming up on 24 hours now. So I'm going to eat when we finish talking.
oh, okay.
I think you'd be surprised. You can go a lot longer without food if you're eating lots of fats and proteins as opposed to lots of carbohydrates when you just feel hungry the whole time, which is what I think they're designed to do.
You know, in the Bible, when it's talking about prayer and fasting,
Mm,
heals the sick.
mm.
There's probably over 30 references to fasting, to healing the sick,
Yeah.
and it makes so much sense. Your gut need, the microbiome of your gut needs time to clean up all the mess that you've been throwing at it.
Yeah, well, we're not designed to load that system the whole time. Yet everyone is just, the snack. They have breakfast, they have a snack, they have lunch, they have some more snacks, they have dinner, then they have some more snacks, and it's like you never rest in the damn thing. Let it rest.
Right, right. Lately, I'm doing 12-hour fast, I guess. I'll stop eating 10 in the evening, and it'll be 10 or maybe noon before I'm eating again.
That's
Um,
good. You must find like I do. I've got a lot more energy because of it.
oh yeah. Um, I I was 50 years old, and I built a house, and doing over 50% of labor myself over period of 2 years plus a year before, clearing the land, cutting trees and all that.
Yeah,
Um,
I think people they've become conditioned to think that you get to sort of 65, 70, that's it, you finished, and you shouldn't. You should be more vibrant than ever, provided you've not got toxins and poisons going in.
Right. If you have, I mean, I lived really toxic life. There was like a period of 10 years where I had my day jobs working in engineering offices
Mhm.
and candy bars, every whatever, 45 minutes we go to the break room and buy a candy bar or some, and I was living on that. And then the junk we'd go out and eat for lunch.
Mhm.
And I was 220 pounds when
Wow.
I was when I started with the water, and then went to organic foods too in '93. But a few years after that, I was back down to like 170, 180.
Mhm.
Um, I was a mess. I really was.
Mm.
I could probably barely walk I couldn't have ran a block, without being totally out of breath.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a world of difference.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you've had a whole life of toxic crap, once you stop that, and if you start, pay attention to organic foods is a big thing. GMOs here, you probably don't have GMOs allowed in your. I
Yeah.
know they don't allow them in Europe, but it's a real problem here in America. It's everywhere you go, and but when you stop that and you stop with the water and all the contaminants and all the nasty foods,
Yeah.
um, you rebuild, you regenerate.
Yeah.
Um,
And don't be surprised if you get rid of some junk on the way through that process, because you're going to go, finally, I can get rid of this shit.
right, right. It's it's amazing.
Yeah, you very kindly sent me some pictures of some of the junk you take out of your water, and I think you were holding a bottle up just when we started talking.
Oh yeah, it's this is what collects on the walls of the boiler.
Yeah.
Um, Chunks of
Yeah.
calcium or whatever. All these. I have a friend here in town that recently had kidney stones. I think it was 7 millimeters or bigger,
Ooh.
and he went in outpatient, and they did some kind of ultrasound, and they let him go, and I picked him up, and that afternoon, the first time he peed,
Yeah.
all the stone came out as sand
Yeah.
in the toilet.
Yeah.
And I took some of this and I put it in water and broke it up. And he says the exact same thing, that he was in his kidney stone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
right. People are, when you're drinking tap water and not drinking distilled water, you are filling up with all that junk, and your body has to put it somewhere, and eventually it will shut you down and you will die. It's only a matter of time, and you'll have all sorts of other problems that come along because of that. And yet, if you're drinking very pure water like the distilled water, the strong negative charge, it's pulling all the toxins, all the junk, all the calcium. It's cleaning you from the inside out, which is why you look more vibrant. Your hair starts to change color. Your eyesight improves. Everything, your cognitive ability. These are all the things I've noticed anyway.
yeah, I was getting serious gray hair on my sides here, and 7 years ago, I began washing my hair with distilled instead of the tap water. That was the last, I was bathing my body with hot distilled water. I started that long time ago. I would take a shower, but then when I came out of the shower, I had a bottle of hot water that I would rinse off
Mhm.
all the tap. Um,
Mhm.
and I started realizing, if I'm not really dirty, if I could just rinse off with, distilled water, I was clean.
Yeah.
And body odor took forever to come. I wouldn't stink.
Yeah.
And
You won't do, because you're not putting junk in, and that's just junk coming out.
right, uh, just makes all the difference in the world. And the stuff that's collecting, into kidney stones, gallstones, liver stones, it's also, they call it calcified arteries.
Yep.
It's causing high blood pressure.
Yep.
And I read somewhere where they're doing autopsies of Alzheimer's patients, and they're all finding they all have calcified pineal glands. And so they're
Possibly the purpose in doing this to the water to stop our journey home that way, because that shouldn't be calcified.
we have six senses, and pineal gland is a big one.
Yep.
And you never learn about it in school. They want to hide that from you.
No.
Seems like.
Well, they hide many things at school because schools are just indoctrination camps anyway.
Well, that's a whole deep subject there. Yeah. Yeah. I had children, and I really wanted to just homeschool them, but I told you I was building a house.
Yeah.
And my oldest turned old enough to be in first grade, and I was built a house right next to a one-room schoolhouse. I thought, well, let him do it, and all my kids got into the school system that way.
Yeah.
My original hope was to homeschool. Why? They can learn so much more when they're interested in something.
Yep.
And give them what they need at that time.
Yeah, we homeschooled ours for several years at the start, and it was amazing when they decided they wanted to go back into the schooling system, which I regret now, know what I know, but they were years and years ahead of everyone in the school, and we hadn't really done that much focused study other than when they were interested in something, we explored it.
Yeah. In Lake Tahoe, they have the public school system has a thing where they let homeschoolers come and be in part of their sport teams. And I have a friend, they have a son who he's been on their track team for Tahoe. He comes, he's not in the school, but he's there for all the sporting events. And he actually won fourth place for the state for Tahoe. And his homeschooler doesn't even go there, but whatever. It's part of the game.
Yeah, it's all part of the game. I'm just trying to think, you've covered so much ground with all that stuff. Is there anything in closing you'd encourage people to do with regard to distilled water if they're thinking, oh, well, I filter my water and that's fine? What would you say to them?
That's something else. I recently got a TDS, total dissolved solids meter, because I didn't even realize those were available till I started. Well, I found your videos and some others. Yeah. And that's just total dissolved solvents. That's not solubles. Yeah. And you think about chlorine in the water. That's not chlorine. Chlorine boils into steam at 3 degrees while water's still an ice. Yeah. And so they have to make sodium hypochlorite. This is what they put in the water. And that's a soluble. So the meter's not even going to read that. Mm-hmm. It's not going to, like if you start sugaring your water, it totally dissolves, right? You can pour that through a filter, it's still going to be sugar water. Mm-hmm. So, it's not just the solids, there are soluble, mm-hmm. soluble problems like the sodium hypochlorite.
Okay, all right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to ask you, but I don't think there is. I'm like you 100%. I won't drink anything else. I take distilled water with me. I have a large container of it for emergencies. I have a backup, or 2 backup distillers now. When we go away on the motorhome, I take 25, 30 liters with me, and that's all we drink. And I try and arrange stops if we're away for a while with other people who know I've got distillers as well, so I can tank up again. I would rather go without than drink anything else now, because I know how different I feel.
Oh yeah, and not just drinking. If you preparing your foods,
Absolutely.
um, you know when you things that really absorb a lot of water, beans, noodles. Um, if you if you boil them with distilled water, not only do they bring out more flavor, but you never get that bloated feeling. I don't. You know, I can eat a ton of spaghetti and I don't get that feeling I get
Yeah.
if I eat regular spaghetti with tap water.
Yeah.
So everything.
Yeah, and I mean other things too. You want to clean your windows, clean them with distilled water, and they get really clean really fast. There's all sorts of other uses too, but it's amazing really how much junk. That's why I made those different videos and said, look at this, what about this, what about this? Because I was appalled what I'd been drinking for so long when I finally started to work my way through it.
Yeah. And you really, when you're cleaning with it, a lot of times you don't even need a soap, which is they call an emulsifier. That's what you need to mix tap water with dirt. But a lot of times you don't need that with distilled.
No, you don't, and you'll find that you don't get as dirty anyway. It'll be external dirt that's on you, but you're not producing dirt internally because I think a lot of people don't realize that your skin is one of the biggest elimination organs of your body. It's also very porous going the other way, so you should never put anything in your mouth and swallow it that you wouldn't put on your skin. Sorry.
Exactly. Whatever, yeah, whatever you are what you eat, and you are whatever you put on your skin, yeah, whatever goes on your skin, that becomes you. And what goes on your skin doesn't get filtered through livers and kidneys.
That's
It
it.
goes direct into you. So yeah, that's something I learned, oh, 15 years ago, was all the carcinogenic endocrine disruptors that are in commercial soaps and shampoos. There are seriously not good chemicals in a lot of it's just commercial products. Just
Well, I need to correct what I said before. You shouldn't put anything on your skin you wouldn't need. 'Cause I said it back to front.
well, yeah, I
The,
agree.
the products you were talking about there, you could almost, if you had a cynical mind like I do, think that they were there to feed hand in glove to feed you into the medical industry so they can really crack on with killing you.
When I yeah, when I started with distilled water, at the time I had two what was told to me by doctors were chronic illnesses. I had a Seberic dermatitis, this nasty um, dandruff that would just cake up, and I had to have a prescription shampoo that I had to always get filled. And I also had a wart that kept coming back on every 2 years on my right hand. And starting with the still water, by 2 years later, I noticed that wart was gone. The dandruff was gone. You know, so much for chronic illnesses. It's
It's funny, isn't it? That big detox I had just recently is the only time I've been feeling anything but wonderful with the distilled water. And if you go back to eating organic food and looking after myself, I started doing that 30 odd years ago, right around when you did. And I've never seen a physician since. Why would I go and see one?
yeah. I went to see one once. I was in an accident, and you know, I was a day late. Um, I had a motorcycle accident, and the attorney wanted me to have a medical report. And I went in the following day. He says, "Well, if you'd been here yesterday, we would have sutured, the back of my head, but it had already healed up where I had a cut." And but that was the last time I ever saw a medical professional of any kind, except for when my children were born.
Yeah, we're designed in this incredible outfit that we inhabit with our consciousness and our spirit to go through life, and it knows how to repair as long as you give it the right nutrition and stop putting toxins in it and on it. And then it can just do anything. I get all sorts of crazy cuts when I work a lot with my hands. And you look at it and you get puncture wounds and stuff, and you clean it up, pee on it, whatever. And it's right as rain within a day or two. No stitches, nothing.
Using aloe, if you get a cut, take aloe leaf. I grow aloe just for that purpose. If you got something wrong with a cut or anything, it heals it up way quicker just by rubbing the juice from the aloe leaf.
Yeah. Yeah. There's all sorts of ones out there. There's a lot of very beneficial plants as well.
Yeah. Oh, too many. It's a new lifetime of learning all the good things that God has for us just in nature,
Yeah.
Roots, turmeric, just so many things that are, ginger. It's all good for your health in so many ways.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's great. I'm going to have to finish it because I need to go and get the food out of the oven.
Yeah, it's fun. Have a good dinner. Yeah.
Maybe a nice organic veg chili I made. So I made it earlier, but I knew it was going to be ready about 7. So
Yeah. Well, thanks for the opportunity to share.
Well,
I share with people every day, and nobody seems to care.
I think that the right people will, and the ones that are very mind controlled and in fear, that they're not in a place where they could even be open to considering alternatives that actually you can look after yourself, and you should look after yourself, and you should take responsibility for what you do to yourself, and therefore be responsible for the consequences of it. But I think a lot more people are coming around to that. So stories and discussions like this, I think they do help people because people, it kind of makes sense that I never thought of it that way.
It's total sense. That's all it is. It's common sense. I look at the birds. They're healthy.
Why do they call it that when it's so damn uncommon these days?
Well, we got a bird flu, a swine flu, a monkey flu, whatever.
It's like this. What is this new scariant they've come out with? Omicron.
Oh, that's moronic spelled backwards. Spelled.
Anagram for that, but also Omicron is one of the mind control Monarch or MK Ultra programs I was looking at the other day. I can't remember which one it was. It was also
Naomi.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, we should probably have another chat sometime, you and I.
Yeah. It's been good talking to you.
Likewise, brother. I'm glad we finally hooked up, and I'll speak to you real soon. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, thanks.
Take care now. Bye bye.
Goodbye.